Okay, we're in not week, but we're in section 26 of the notes. And this is the section where we actually use the quadratic formula. So we derive the quadratic formula using the technique of completing the square. Although it's difficult for some people to follow this, it would be a good idea to study this information that we present to you in the notes. And we developed the formula by completing the square. That's all we did. And the formula was pretty nice. You need to know this formula. And then, of course, we went through a bunch of examples using that formula. So hopefully that's understood at this point, that you studied it and you feel comfortable using the formula to solve a quadratic equation. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the homework. And the hope here is that you've studied, understood the material, and that you've reinforced it on your own by doing this homework. We're not talking about the web assignment. We're talking about this homework that's embedded in your notes. So I'm going to switch to the white screen. Open up my computer again. See what I got here. Oh, there it goes. Took a little time to happen. All right, you're looking at the white screen. So again, I'm going to emphasize, what section we're in. We're in section 26 of the course notes. And we're doing the homework. Number 1, it says solve using the quadratic formula. And let me write down what we'd like you to do. We would like you to identify the A, the B, and the C in the problem. The A is the coefficient in the square term, which is 1. The B is the coefficient in the linear term, which is -6. And C is that constant, which is -5. All right. What do I do now? Well, the formula, X minus B, we'll do this in a second, plus or minus B squared minus 4AC over twice A. Well, I like to stick with easy things first, the bottom. What's twice A? Well, if A is 1, twice A would be 2. Let me go to the top. And again, I'm looking at it, it says the opposite of the B. Well, if B is -6, the opposite of that would be 6. Then it's plus or minus. And this is where most students screw up. So let me go through it with you. B squared, what's -6 times -6 is 36. And then it's minus 4AC. I'll write this on the side for you. So it's going to be minus 4AC. I got to do that part. Let me write this down for you. What's A? 1. What's C? -5. Well, look at it. It doesn't look that bad. It's plus 20 now. Let me keep going through this. Oops, sorry about that. And what do you get? X equals 6 plus or minus square root. Let's see, that would be 56, right? Over 2. All right, I got to keep going through because I'm wondering, can it be simplified? And I'm hoping it can be because it looks pretty nasty. I don't know the square root of 56, by the way, but I'm going to say 56 does have a perfect square in it, and it's 4 times 14. Right, 4 is a perfect square. So I'll write this over here. So the square root of 56 is actually going to be 2 root 14. Again, the square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 14, don't know. We're going to divide through by 2 now. All right, term by term. What's 6 divided by 2? 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so we just get 1 root 14s. You can write that down as 2 separate numbers, 3 plus root 14 or 3 minus root 14. However, we can't do the arithmetic, so we actually prefer this answer. Let's look at the key, and you should be staring at that answer, and you are. All right, let's go to the next one. And this is number 2 now. And again, we're learning to use the quadratic formula. 3x squared minus 7x plus 3 equals 0. Remember this, the quadratic formula is going to be used in an equation, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So it's in the proper form. Let me identify the a. Let me identify the b. And let me identify the c. I'm not going to write the formula down again, but it's sort of like seared in my mind at this point. What goes on the bottom? Twice the a. What's twice the a? Well, twice 3 is 6. What goes on top? The opposite of b. Well, if b is minus 7, the opposite of that would be 7, plus or minus. Most students are making errors inside the radical. That's called the radicand. Let's take a look at it. Minus 7 squared, that's b squared, is going to be 49. Now, minus 4, write this on the side for you. Minus 4 times the a times the c. Well, it's going to be 36. All right, let's keep going. And yes, you're expected to do the arithmetic. If using a calculator is necessary, please use the calculator. Let's see, what's that going to be? It looks like 14. I'm sorry, 4 and 9, 13. Gee, not much I can do about that. There's no perfect squares in there, and I don't know the square root of 13. Let me erase this. I went too far over here, right? I'm going to erase this over here. I'll put a box on it. Of course, after I put the box on it, I just want to check it. See if I get the same answer the key has. And I do. It's the same one. All right. So I feel good about that. I want to move on to the next problem, number 3. And number 3 says solve by using the quadratic formula. I'll write that down for you. And it's 12x minus 9 equals x squared. Well, again, the first thing I have to do is get in that standard form. And certainly I'd like to have the coefficient on the x squared to be positive. So I'll keep it on the right side. And I'll subtract 12x from both sides. And I'll add 9 to both sides. All right. Now, I certainly know what the a is. The a is 1. I know the b is minus 12. And I know the c is 9. So let's write our answer down. Twice the a on bottom. Well, a is 1. That's 2. Opposite of b. Well, the b is minus 12. The opposite of b would be 12. Plus or minus. Well, b squared, that's minus 12 times minus 12, is 144. Minus, well, let me write this down. Minus 4 times a times c. Oops, sorry about that. Minus 36. Put this over here. You're expected to do arithmetic if you can do it. Let's see, 144 minus 36. Let's see, 6 from 4, that would be 38. 108. Okay. This is, I think I'm done. I'm not saying you're not done. I just want to keep going. All right. So I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the 108. Let me go through. I'll get my eraser out over here. That side work, I don't really like seeing that. I'm going to put the 108 down for you. It's an interesting number, right? 108. Let me say 254. Well, I guess I could take a 2 from the 54 and I would get 4 and 27, right? And I could take a 9 from the 27 and I would get 36 because 36, 9 times 4 is 36. You get the idea what I did? So it's really 36 times 3. I'll write this down. Square root of 36 is 6, root 3. All right. I'm looking at this up here. Square root of 36 is 6. Square root of 3, I have no idea. Actually, it's a no idea. We can't write the number down. It goes on forever. It's a nightmare. All right, so what do you do over here? I'm going to divide 3 by 2. We'll look at the key later. 2 goes into 12 6 times. Plus or minus 2 goes into 6 3 times. And that's about the extent of the arithmetic that I can do. What am I going to do now? Look at the key to make sure you're looking at that answer. And in fact, we're looking at that answer. You go to number 4. And what do you see for number 4? X squared minus 8x minus 25 equals 0. X equals, well, again, I know the A is 1, I know the B is minus 8, and I know the C is minus 25. Okay, so I'm going to do the bottom first. Twice A, well, if A is 1, twice 1 is 2. The opposite of the B is minus 8. The opposite of minus 8 is 8. Plus or minus, let's see, B squared, that's minus 8 times minus 8, which is 64. Minus, well, let's see, 4AC, right? I'll write this over here. Well, that would be a plus 100, right? I do that right? Yeah, plus 100. Let's keep going. We have a key. People make mistakes. All right, I'll get my eraser out and get that side work erased over here. I'll look at the 164. It's certainly opportunities for factoring. I'm looking for perfect squares. All right, so I'm kind of looking at 164. And, 164. Right, I'm going to say 2. That would be 82, right? And I'm seeing another 2 there. So I'm going to say 4 and 41. All right, I think I got it. All right, so let's put this down. X equals 8 plus or minus. We're looking at this now. Square root of 4 is 2. No, I don't know the square root of 41. Over 2. I'm going to divide through. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Plus or minus 2 divided by 2 is 1. So it's going to be one of those root 41s. Let's look at the answer key. And again, my encouragement to you is this. Hopefully you're matching the answer key. If you're not, though, there's trouble somewhere. All right, looks pretty good. Let's go to number 5. And I'm just going to look at it. And what do you see over there? You see 5x squared plus 16x plus 2 equals 0. It's certainly in the form we like. What goes on the bottom? Twice the A. The A is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. What goes on top? It's going to be the opposite of B, which is minus 16. Plus or minus. These numbers might seem nasty to you. I want to make sure you know what we're going to do. We're going to do the B squared. That's 16 squared. I'm going to write this on the side, but I will be erasing it. 16 squared. Well, let's see. I'd like to do the 10 times 16 first, which is 160. And then I do 6 times 10, which is 60. And 6 times 6 is 36. No matter how you do it, hopefully you can agree upon it. It's 256. Now, some people say I can do that in my head, or I can do it in my calculator. No matter where you do it, it's 256. All right. Let me get my eraser out. Here's this business over here. And what I want to do is I want to do minus 4 times A times C. All right. So minus 4 times A, which is 5, times C, which is 2. That's minus 40, right? Let's write this down. Let's see, 256 minus 40 is 216. Again, 216 looks like it provides opportunity for factoring. Who knows? Maybe I'll be able to do it. Oops, sorry about that. Write it down for you. Strictly divisible by 2, right? That'll be 108. I'm seeing 2 again. So I'm going to put the 2 with the 2, which is 4, and that would be 54. Right? You see what I'm doing? I'm looking at the 54, and I'm starting to say there's a 9 in there. Right, so I put the 9 with the 4, that's 36. And, I said the 9's in the 54, that would be 6, right? Hey, I'm not saying I don't make mistakes, but I think I can do that. So x equals minus 16 plus or minus 10 to the bottom. I'm doing this over here. Square root of 36 is 6. I don't know the square root of 6 though. All right, I'm going to reduce it. And someone says, how are you going to reduce it? I'm noticing that those numbers are divisible by 2. When I said those numbers, there's 2 terms on top, 1 term on bottom. Let's see. I said 2, right? 3 root 6. Put a box in this. I'm going to look to see the answer in the key, by the way. I'm seeing the -8 plus or minus 3 root 6 over 5. Let's go to number 6, which will be the last question. Again, this is your chance to try. Hopefully you've been doing quite good with this. And what do you see? X squared. And they want us to use the quadratic formula. X is, well, I did the bottom first, and the A is 1, so this is 2 times 1, which is 2. The opposite of the B is 8, so that's -8, plus or minus. The B squared, well, that's 8 squared is 64, minus, well, I think I'm getting better now. 4 times A, that's 4 times 1 is 4, times 25, that's going to be 100. X is -8 plus or minus 64 minus 30. I'm sorry, 64 minus 100 is minus 36. X is -8 plus or minus, well, I do see the -1, so it's I, and the square root of 36 is 6. So 6I over 2. I'm going to divide now, and you're going to get -4 plus or minus, I'm divided by 2, by the way. 2 goes into 6 3 times. What do you see? Look at the answer key, and you're staring at it. It's really that simple. All right, I'm going to put this down. Again, if you master the material, doing this homework should be very simple and very quick for you, but you do need to practice. I'm going to switch screens, and we're going to go back to the notes now. And so we'll look at the notes, read Sage Code. I've done this many, many times before. I think it's important you try at least, including saying, I'm not interested, give it a try. The more you try it, who knows, maybe you'll end up liking this at some point. Remember those little links that are in the reddish color, they'll open up when you click on them if your machines are properly configured. We're going to be using CoCalc, which you've done many, 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 many times before. Hopefully you're familiar with me doing this. We're going to create a new Sage worksheet. And why do I like a new Sage worksheet? I'm going to say the reason for that is it's just easier for me to get a clean sheet of paper without looking at a bunch of work on it. All right. By the way, when you're dealing with Sage Online, you're dealing with other people's computers, and they may not be able to give you time to do a computation. That's why if you want to use this, seriously, you're going to have to download the file. The application. All right, I'm still trying to load a worksheet at this point. Oh, there it goes. I got it. Pull this over. I'm going to type the code in. Yeah, I'm learning how to type. Reset. X. I've never been good at typing, by the way. I'm always making mistakes. X the variable. And I'm going to do the solve now. Whoops. What am I going to solve? By the way, I want to point out, if you notice in my window here, you notice I got the red and the green going. This thing's struggling to do the computation at that point. It's not giving me a processor time. It just completed it though. What am I going to solve? 3x squared minus 7x. Now, when I say 7x, it has to be 7 times x. I got to explicitly state that. Plus 3, and the double equal sign indicating an equation equals 0. And I'm going to be solving for x. Shift return. It's working. You see a little green thing going back and forth there? Might take some time. Oh, there it comes. It gave it back to me. All right. Okay, you might have a tough time reading that, by the way. But the problem, we've done these problems by hand. You have to be able to do these things by hand, by the way. That's the key here. All right. Thank you.